So this is very similar to the Linux injection that we did 2 sections ago, where we were injecting commands into the Linux programs. However, we're going to be doing the same thing, but with Windows. So for people that are maybe new to Windows, which I don't know anyone who started in Linux and then moved to Windows, but the command line program in Windows is cmd.exe. So that's where this title comes from. And we're going to inject some more commands and take control of some systems that are running Windows. So we have some examples of how to use the command line here. We have, for example, in Linux, we would use the ls command, and that does nothing in Windows. Instead, we use dir, and that gives us our directory listing. Are these workshops every day? They're not every day. However, we will leave this workshop up until either the sun explodes or society collapses, whichever one comes first. So you'll always have access to this information. So in order to run a directory listing in Windows, you just type dir. And if you want to make a subdirectory, you run the mkdir command, make directory. So I think actually, let me go into a subdirectory first. Make dir subdir. So now I have a subdirectory, and I'm going to follow the instructions listed here. So make dir Steve. Let's do that. Let's make a Steve subdirectory. Make dir Steve. And next, let's go into the Steve subdirectory by typing cd or change directory Steve. And now we are in the Steve subdirectory. And there should be nothing in here. So if we type dir, we get nothing. Ignore these dots. We can also then make subdirectories too. Oh, no, we're going to make files first. So just like Linux, we can direct output into a file using the the greater than symbol. So if we echo mark, which would normally type mark to the screen, we can redirect that into a file. In this case, we're calling it Steve file. So mark goes into Steve file. And we can see the contents of Steve file by using the type command. So if we type Steve file, it will type the contents of Steve file onto the screen. And this is how you use the Windows command line. And we can make another subdirectory called Sally. Make directory Sally. We're going to go into the Sally directory. Once again, there's nothing in here. We are going to echo mark 2. So normally that would go onto the screen, but we're going to put that into a file. So mark Sally, we're going to put that into something called Sally file. There we go, dir. Now we have Sally file in this directory, and we can go up a directory. So cd dir, and then dir ... and we have Steve file in the directory above it. So in Windows, we don't have standard read, write, execute bits. We have access control lists. And in order to list those access control lists, the command to do that is cackls, C-A-C-L-S. So if we were to run that on the Sally, Sally file, we'll see that the following users have full access to that file. So system has full access, administrators have access, and I have full access to that file. So here in our browser window, we have a directory command. And we can push show contents to show the contents of a directory. And this allows us to inject commands into a Windows server. And the programmer thought, well, if I ask for a directory, the user is only going to give me a directory. So if I enter dot here and show contents, I get the output of the dir command for the current directory. If I enter ... I show the contents of the directory above. And this is what the programmer expected me to put in. just a directory listing. However, this is a vulnerable server. And what we can do now is use that injection in order to gain control of the server and do terrible, terrible things. In order to do that, we're going to combine two commands together using the ampersand. So if I look at the current directory and who am I should have my username after the directory listing below. Here I am. I am administrator on that Windows server. Technically, you can omit /a. Okay. I was looking at the comments. So there is a folder named secret on the server containing the file flag.txt. Read the contents of that file and enter it in the form below to record your success. So let's try to find flag.txt. So if we do dir ... we get the directory above us. So let's do dir ... /... Here we are in the root directory, and we see that there's a secret directory in the root directory. So we want to go into that secret directory and find our file. So let's do that. Let us do some command injection. So what we will do is we will look at the current directory and go up a directory and go up a directory and go into the secret directory and run the directory command again and see what happens. I'm going to copy this. So now we see our flag, and we have to type out the contents of that flag. So as we remember, the command for outputting an ASCII file in Windows, the Windows command line is type. So if we were to append type flag.txt, show contents again, we've essentially are able to grab the contents of that flag file. And there are a few more flags to find afterwards. So there's a file named flag2 on the server somewhere. So you need to find that using this injection. And there's another flag on the server. You don't know its directory or file name. However, we have some hints. So this is just like the Linux command injection. However, we are doing this in Windows. So you have to get comfortable with the Windows command line. And once you're able to do this, you can take over the server, find secrets, etc. This is a very common attack technique caused by the fact that the programmer expects one type of data, but you are inputting another type of data that the programmer was not expecting.